You know, it really is wonderful down there. 2/3 of the Earth's surface is covered by seas and oceans, and only a few people ever get to discover the wonders of the deep. And that's because it's a cold, alien environment and soon gets whipped up by strong winds, especially around the coast of Britain. So, how on earth does anyone get to see the beautiful sea creatures that live below the waves? Well over 20 years ago, a Scottish fish farmer by the name of John Mace thought it was a great pity that people couldn't see what I was looking at out there on the water. So he came to a conclusion, and that conclusion was this: if you can't go to the sea creatures, then the sea creatures must come to you. And this is it, the famous Oban Sealife Centre. And I couldn't think of a more beautiful place for this splendid project. And it was through those doors way back in 1979 that the first curious visitors entered. Let's go and see what they found. They discovered an incredible array of British sea creatures, displayed in a way that was totally unlike anything they'd ever seen before. In this case, it was a huge circular tank. And these shoaling fish here are called herring. Now, it wasn't so long ago that they were the backbone of the Scottish fishing industry. They were filleted, smoked, and produced the world-famous kipper. Now, it's only when you see them actually swimming naturally like this you realise what beautiful fish they really are. In the wild, they swim in huge shoals to escape their predators. Quite simply, the hunters get confused by the sheer number of fish. Now, an interesting fact about herring is that they're plankton eaters and they have gill rakers. Now, what they do is they filter that plankton out of the seawater through those rakers. In fact, the shoal is just like a giant ocean hoover, sucking up millions of microscopic plants and animals every day. Now, another interesting point about herring is that their eyes are very close to the top of their head, and that's mainly because they're night feeders. At night, they go to the surface, feed on the plankton, and then when it starts getting light, they go back down to the bottom of the ocean. Then the herring spend the day hiding in dark, deep water. So it's pretty extraordinary being able to see them at all. And all this here is exactly what the Mace brothers wanted to achieve. An environment that was ideal for the fish and coming as closely as possible to their natural habitat. And for you, a real sea life experience. But it wasn't just the secret life of fish that was brought to the surface. Many of the boneless invertebrates also featured in the displays, like these sea anemones. All these tentacles contain specialised stinging cells, which are ideal for catching careless prey. In fact, some of them can give people a nasty sting. And this is a starfish. It walks on thousands of minute tube feet. And the related sea urchin does just the same. But it also has sharp, mobile spines as a defence. Crabs are also invertebrates, but they have a hard, jointed outer shell, just like knights in heavy armour. And its relative, the spiny crayfish, has an outer shell as well. It's called an exoskeleton. Despite their size, crayfish are shy and only come out to feed at night. That slow, ponderous walk is misleading. If it's frightened, the crayfish will swim quickly backwards using that muscular tail. And this is an octopus, the most advanced of all invertebrates. Incredibly, their eyes are even better than ours. But it was getting to grips with British fish that really got those early visitors excited. That first summer, an incredible 60,000 people flocked here to the Oban Sealife Centre, and they were amazed at the diversity of their own marine life, most of which they'd only ever seen on a fishmonger's slab. Now, the Sealife Centres proved to be so successful that before long there were 10 of them dotted all over the country. And one centre springing up here at Blackpool. Quite amazing, really. Live fish living happily at the seafront. But keeping British fish alive isn't as simple as it sounds. For a start, where do you get the water from? From the sea, you say? But this stuff is seriously polluted. But that didn't stop the now inspired Sealife Centre team. If the sea's dirty, clean it. And this is where they do it. I suppose you can call it the heart of the Sealife Centre. High technology for clean water. Now, first of all, the seawater comes into this holding tank here, and that holds an incredible 4,000 litres. But how do you clean it? Well, it goes through a series of sand filters like these ones here. But that's not the only thing. It needs UV lighting, and that's ultraviolet light, to kill off all the germs and all the bugs. After that, it needs to go through a heat exchanger. Now, when the water's left the heat exchanger and got to the required temperature, it's then pumped into the tanks as crystal clear water. And they've even got different systems for different species of fish. For example, the tropical tank here, that temperature is kept at around about 23 degrees centigrade. This tank here, the British one, just under 15 degrees centigrade. And of course, the octopus at around about 11 degrees centigrade. Now, the most interesting point is that when this water is pumped back into the sea, it's actually cleaner than when it originally came into the centre. So I suppose you can say that the Sealife Centres are cleaning up the waters around our coast. But it's not just the water that's important. Different fish need different amounts of light. Now, this amazing display here is where the giant conger eels hang out. And these amazing domes really make you feel like you're actually in there with them. In fact, you could be 30 metres or more below the surface of the ocean, because this is where these predatory eels live. They love to live on wrecks, they love to live in dark places. The gloomy light of a sunken wreck is ideal for their ambushing lifestyle, because congers like to lurk in their holes, keeping a watchful eye out for passing food. So any small fish swimming past a wreck like this one is in real danger of being grabbed by one of these big eels. They have especially large eyes for seeing in the murk, and their jaws hide a formidable set of teeth. Congers can grow to an immense size, over 100 kilograms in weight. And their muscular tail makes them powerful swimmers that don't willingly give up on their prey. So it pays to take care when poking about in British wrecks, because you're probably being watched by a conger. Now, the hard work doesn't stop here. Just because the lights are right and the water temperature is right, there's just one more thing. And that's food, and lots of it. Now, this may not look like much to you, but in fact, it's the most important source of food in the whole ocean: plankton. Zooplankton like these are minute animals, Some of them are larvae that could someday grow up to be big fish. But first, they have to escape all the creatures that sieve the sea in search of microscopic dinners. Plankton are at the bottom of the food chain. Many animals need much more substantial food to keep them going. This is the prep room, and Rolf here is just one of the hard-working people that actually prepared the fish for the fish. Bizarre, really, isn't it?
That's right, Terry.
Eh?
Got all sorts of goodies here for them.
Yeah. Now, what's that one there for?
Well, this is for the big sand tiger sharks.
Yeah.
It's a whiting, freshly caught.
Yeah. So, how many of those would they have?
Oh, on a typical feed, about 5 or 6 a day. We only have 3 of the big sand tigers.
Now, what about those mussels?
Our starfish, in particular,
Right.
they like to eat mussel shells. We collect these locally from the beach.
Yeah.
And that's one that requires very little preparation. We just pop it in the tank and the starfish prise the shells open
Yeah, they
themselves.
actually lie right away on top of it like that, don't they? And almost
right.
sort of suffocate it and crush it.
That's right, and
Yeah.
then suck out the insides.
Do a good job. Yeah. Okay, and of course the octopus as well.
Yes, the octopus loves crabs, and we also get these locally, and they give them to the octopus live or
dead.
Yeah,
whatever.
like this one.
But they have to be freshly dead, don't they?
Yes,
If you're going to give them dead.
That's right, to
Yeah.
ensure that they don't do them any damage. So we
Yeah.
have some crabs here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the squid we chop finely for a lot of
Hold
smaller
that up,
fish.
let everyone see that squid.
Yes,
That's
we'll show you a whole one there.
That's brilliant, look at that.
Quite a beautiful animal.
It is, isn't it?
In its own way.
Yeah, so who is the squid?
Well, our cuckoo wrasse and other members of the wrasse family, and
Right.
actually a lot of the smaller fish in our displays, either finely chopped or whole like this.
Right, okay. Now, some of this fish is actually fresh, and
Yes.
others are frozen, aren't they?
That's right. The mackerel come in frozen.
Yeah.
The whiting.
Now, the frozen ones actually lose the vitamins, don't they? So do you supplement them with anything?
Yes, we do. We usually supplement with kelp tablets.
Right.
And we place these. We hide them in the food so that the
Yeah.
sharks don't know what's going on.
Tuck them in there.
Tuck them inside, and the shark doesn't know that he's actually getting an even healthier diet than what he started off with.
So that's a multivitamin, really, isn't it?
That's right.
Well, thanks very much, Rolf.
My pleasure.
Now, looking at all that food down there has made me really hungry. I wonder if they do fish and chips in the restaurant. I'm absolutely starving. Have you got my fish and chips ready? Oh, look at that. Thank you very much. That is super wonderful. Oh, I've been looking forward to this. Great. They actually do a good selection of food here, you know. It really is good.
Come on, Terry, the fish is starving.
The fish are starving. Right, okay. Well, I didn't really want fish and chips anyway. Ah, that's good. If I had more time, I could buy just about every fishy knick-knack there is, but I've got some fish to feed. Hiya, Rod.
Hi, Terry. These fish are getting hungry.
Well, I know, I'm sorry I'm late, but I'll tell you what, it's the quickest change that I've ever made. Can you give me a hand with that stuff?
Certainly.
Brilliant. Okay, let's get that one first. Well, this is the food for the fish. I've been really looking forward to this part. It may look warm in there, may look like a warm bath, but in fact it's very, very cold. That's why I've got all this gear on. So here goes. You just can't beat getting underwater with the fish. And you know, that glass really does separate two entirely different worlds. All of the fish in here are common around our coasts, but the most inquisitive are the grey mullet. Time to serve dinner. To begin with, the mullet are a bit cautious, not really coming that close to me. Mullet are adapted for a life in the estuaries, and their thickened lips are ideal for sensing food in silty conditions. But as they get used to the noise of my bubbles, they come closer and closer. fact, they're starting to feed quite happily now. Now they're getting plain cocky. And it really is great having a shoal of wild fish nibbling food out of your hand, almost like being in the middle of an underwater dance. But there are more than just a shoal of mullet in here. Time to investigate. Absolutely fantastic. Well, it's really like the real thing down there. And in fact, it's much safer for me to be swimming around because there are various rays down there. If I started walking around, I could actually tread on one in particular called the stingray. And if you look closely, just on the tail there, you can see the spur, and that's what stings you. But it only stings in self-defense. So I reckon it's better for me to swim around, and I like it that much, so we're going to go back down again. This area of the tank is just full of rays. That one's another stingray, so I'll treat it with respect. It really is a great feeling watching those rays glide past. They're quite different from other fish because they have a skeleton made of cartilage instead of bone. That one's a true bony fish, a big turbot. And the spotted rays are skate. All the swimming power comes from their wings. And the mouth and gills are actually on the bottom of their body. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about these rays is their spotted colour. It's a perfect camouflage. And they use it to hide on the seabed. They wait there until small fish swim by. Then the skate launch a surprise attack. But it isn't just the rays that use camouflage. Spot the fish. No, that isn't a pebbly mound. It's actually another huge turbot. Like most true flatfish, they actually lie on their side. Their eyes have just moved around to one side of their body. Turbots can weigh up to 50 kilograms, and like skate, they are ambush experts. And despite the cumbersome appearance, they are fierce predators. This little customer is another flatfish, a plaice. Their camouflage is used to hide from their enemies. A spotted dogfish. It's a kind of small shark, and it also has a well-camouflaged skin. This time both to hide from predators and to surprise their own prey. And for these guys, camouflage is a must. Dragonets are small bottom-dwelling fish, and they really need a good disguise to escape from being eaten. The John Dory uses another tactic. It's ultra thin so its prey can't see it when it makes a head-on attack. In fact, just about everybody uses camouflage of some sort, even huge tropical groupers. And mullet too. From above, their greybacks disappear against the dark water, and from below, their light belly vanishes against the sky. But the best disappearing acts of all belong to the cuttlefish. They can change their skin colour at will. In fact, it's even been suggested that they use colour change for communication. And this is a camouflage expert that's well worth avoiding. Anglerfish even have weed-like growths on their jaw as perfect disguise, and that mouth means business. They simply lie in wait and wave their lure to attract prey, a genuine underwater fisherman.
Come on, come on, come on, eat it, eat it.
Well, he definitely doesn't want his dinner, and this is one sea creature that has gone off his appetite. But seriously, once the Sealife centres had cracked the idea of creating habitats, the possibilities were endless. Now, you think you're by the seaside? Well, you'd be absolutely wrong, because all these waves here are artificially created, and they can get bigger just by turning a knob. In fact, just like this. Hey, you lot, you're making me soaking wet. Dear, oh dear, there's no telling what they're going to do next. But seriously, this tank here is a fine example of a healthy sandy beach where sea creatures live. Now take a look over here at these sea mullet. There's a whole shoal of mullet riding the back of the surf. And in the wild, that's one of the best places to be because there's a concentration of food. And if you just look there, you can see there's crabs, there's starfish, there's bass, and they're all feeding very happily there. The waves simply uncover worms and creatures living in the sand. So all that food gets carried to the waiting fish swimming behind the surf. In fact, this shallow surf tank is almost exactly like the real thing, and for these young bass and mullet, it's a perfect dining area. It's extraordinary to think that most healthy beaches hide a fabulous spread of fish suppers, loads of mollusks like these mussels, and the sand contains worms, shrimps, and small fish. Now, the habitat is so healthy that the Sealife centres actually breed their own fish here. These spotted dogfish eggs are proof of that. In the wild, dogfish hide their eggs in shallow water, but at the centre, you can even study them through a magnifying glass. As the cases harden, their spiral corners get tangled up in weed or debris and anchor the eggs to the spot. Safe inside, the developing embryos feed on the yolk sacs until they're big enough to hatch. Quite amazing. In fact, the Sealife centres are so successful at breeding that they release captive bred animals back into the wild. So it's not only clean water they put back into the sea. Now, if you think these baby dogfish here are impressive, just take a look at these. Now these really are serious sharks. That one over there is a sand tiger shark. Now I was thinking about going in with these, but they really are serious predators, evolved over some 400 million years. So it's really quite reassuring to have this glass up here between them and me. Now this tank is quite amazing as well because it holds over 100,000 gallons of water and it's equivalent in weight above me to 70 double-decker buses. Now 500,000 people walk through here in complete safety every year, and when you really think about it, that means those sharks are safe as well. Now everybody knows that sharks have a bad image. In fact, most people think of them as sinister killers of the deep. When you see an animal like this sand tiger shark swimming by, it's easy to understand why. They are closely related to the infamous great white shark. They certainly don't look friendly, and they've got a pretty ferocious set of teeth. So at first sight, it looks like sharks deserve their reputation. Now, a major part of the Sealife's mission is to let people know what's happening in our marine environment. Now, these figures up here represent dead sharks. And each time that figure changes there, it means another shark is killed. And in fact, 100 million sharks are killed each year. Now, the Sealife Centre decided to change the Jaws image of the shark. So let's go and see what's going on. For a start, sharks are extremely graceful fish. They actually fly underwater on their large pectoral fins. In black-tipped reef sharks like these, the fins really are like wings. But to really get to know sharks, you need to do more than just watch them swim. This is an area that the public never see. It's behind the scenes shark style, and this is Mike. Hello, Mike.
Oh, Terry.
Now, Mike, you feed these sharks with these sticks first of all, don't you?
That's right.
Okay. So, the littlest shark down there is what, one of the woebegone?
Spotted woebegone, that's right.
Spotted woebegone. So let's see how we feed that. Shall I do it?
Yep.
Straight the way down?
Straight down.
Straight down. Okay, very gently.
Yep.
There we go. It's amazing that the others don't actually come near it, isn't it?
That's right.
Right. Okay. It's there, right in front of his mouth. And that, my God, he hasn't wasted any time, has he? He's actually grabbed it straight away.
Oh, they're pretty quick.
They are pretty quick. Half of that fish is in his mouth already. I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? And now the rest of it has gone. Now, meals for sharks in the wild are few and far between, and consequently they've got highly developed senses. Now, they have all the same senses that we have. They have hearing, they have sound, and they have smell. But they also have an electric sense, and they can pick up vibrations from up to a mile away. Well, they don't have to work that hard to find food here. This one is a nurse shark, and there, that's a white-tipped reef shark, a really elegant species. Surprisingly, the sharks don't just grab the first food they locate. They're actually quite shy, and it takes some time before they're confident enough to take the bait. Got it. In the wild, they usually behave in the same way, with a lot of caution. But when they finally close in for the bait, it's impressive. And once they grab hold of it, you can really feel they've got that prey. Sometimes they even seem to play with the food. Oh dear, that was something else, that. Okay, I know that looks formidable, it is, but sharks are the perfect predators of the sea. But that doesn't mean to say that we should hate them or indeed kill them all the time. Now, last year alone, 30 people worldwide were killed by shark attacks. Now, compare that with the 50,000 people worldwide that were actually killed by cars. Now, I think they're amazing animals, and I think we should leave them alone. And the Sealife Centres think the same thing. They think they should go on for another 400 million years, and I agree with that. And it's with displays like this one that the Sealife Centres hope to get their conservation message across. So this is one place where sharks get a good press, and it works.
There's that big one again, look.
You know, some people, and children in particular, find the experience of looking at sea creatures an enchanting one. And that does encourage other people to become more involved in the conservation and preservation of sea life. Now, that's another area where the Sealife Centres lead the way.
Not actually grey seals, but I'll tell you about grey seals as well. These are actually common seals though, okay? There's two types of seals.
Seals are about the most beautiful and delightful swimmers of all marine animals.
Here's the speckled one. Very large, pale female here. This is Blondie. Blondie is coming up to 13 years old, sorry. She's the only seal from England, and she was found on the beach in Suffolk in a very small pup.
They can hold their breath for an incredible 30 minutes. Spectacular.
On herring, we do not usually pamper our seals with herring fillets, but our fish supply made a mistake a few months ago and sent us herring fillets instead of whole herring. The seals discovered they love herring fillets, and now we just every few weeks we give them a few feeds of herring fillets, and they really seem to enjoy them. So I'll throw a few in and see how they're going to go. Some of you might get splashed if I throw food up in this pool around the edge of their way.
Their blubbery bodies keep them warm and streamlined. They can actually see better underwater than in the air.
Now the main reason that we get seals brought to us at the centre is because in the early summer when they're newly born, it's quite common for people to come across them, pick them up, play with them and end up frightening their mothers away. Now there's a certain number of seals that end up here with us. We look after them until we can release them again. The reason these three here haven't been released is because they were among the first seals that were brought here. They had a lot of attention, they became very friendly, and we didn't know if they would survive in the wild. So these three have actually stayed here. But we have been releasing pups back in the last 9 years. We released 9 last year.
I found you at last. You okay?
Yes, fine, thanks.
Great. Well, you know, there can't be any animals more enchanting than these common seals here. And the only reason they're here is because they've been rescued from the wild, haven't they?
That's right, yes, they have been.
How many have you got here?
We've got 3 here at the moment, just the 3.
Yeah. Now, I suppose May and June is really your busy time, isn't it? Because there's lots of orphans around.
It can be a very busy time, yeah. The young pups are often left on the beach while the mothers go off feeding, and this is the breeding time, pupping time, and people can just come across them and sort of think they're cute and cuddly and wander up to them. And the pups are so friendly, you know, just following away.
Yeah, that's one of the major problems, isn't it? I mean, if you see a seal pup on the beach, the best thing to do is to leave it well alone, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah, every time. Unless you think there's a problem, you can watch for a while. As long as the pup doesn't see you. I mean, that's the...
Right, yeah, because the mother's watching.
That's right,
from
she
a
will
distance
be.
away. Yeah,
Yeah.
So these ones were rescued.
Yes.
And they've been looked after here. They look incredibly healthy now, and there's one in particular down there that's going to be released tomorrow, isn't it?
That's right, that's Ailey.
What's her name?
Ailey.
Ailey?
Yes.
Ailey, right, that's that one down there.
That's her, yes.
Yeah.
She's been here a few months now. She had pneumonia when she came in, but she's fit and healthy now and fat and ready to go tomorrow.
Little do you know what's going to happen to you tomorrow, Ailey. You must get rather fond of these.
I do, but I love to see them go. It's the best bit.
That's the best bit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You don't even have a little tear in your eye.
Oh, there's a tear there, but it's,
Yeah.
it's satisfaction as well, seeing them go. It's brilliant.
Now, where are you going to release her?
She's been driven about 60 miles from here to an isolated spot that we've picked especially.
And are there other seals in that area?
Yes, there's 2 distinct colonies that she could sort of latch onto, so...
And I guess, what, about 24 hours, 2 days or something, she'll get involved with those other ones?
Yes, around that we think, yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't take long.
Yeah. Right, OK, so the pool's drained and we take her round to the carrying cage, do we?
No, we'll bring the carrying cage to her, I think.
OK.
Yeah.
All right, let's go and get it. For Ailey, it's really time to start her journey back to the sea. For everyone at the Oban Sealife Centre, this is a big day.
Great, so we're on our way, eh?
Let's go.
80 miles later, and it's time for a first look at her new home.
Okay.
We've picked a really wild stretch of the Highland coast for her. So it's just one short scramble down a slippery beach between Ailey and the sea.
Yeah,
I'll certainly smell the seaweed.
that's pretty strong, isn't it?
And very soon she'll be out of that rattling old cage and on her way back to the freedom of the wild.
Where should we take her? Just on the edge of the water there?
I think just on the edge of the pool down here.
Just here?
Yeah, we'll let her sort of acclimatise before she hits the water.
Okay. Right. There we are, on the seashore. Long time since she was there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a few months now.
A few months, yeah. I think you ought to do the honours, Terry. Yeah. Look, she wants to get out already.
There you go.
Whoops. Hey, look, smell that kelp. Hello. Isn't that good? That's it, have a good sniff of that. Isn't that lovely? Hey, look at it. Have a wander. She's not looking back. She's taking her time, isn't she?
No.
Very cautious, just looking around, and she may look back when she gets on the other side of that kelp, I suppose, just to see exactly what's going on, you know. But, yeah, wonderful. Very relaxed about the whole affair.
Isn't she? After that journey, isn't she?
Yeah, that's lovely to see. Look at that. Oh, well done, yeah. And where's she going to come up again, do you think? There we are. Bye-bye. That is tremendous. Look at that. That's not a seal. That's a boy. Look at that. She thinks she's actually... That boy, she thinks, is a seal. That's amazing. That's it. Go underneath, see if it's got any flippers. No, it hasn't got any flippers. Wonderful. I've never seen that response before like that, you know. Well, isn't that fantastic? It's only when you see animals like that returning home that you know you're doing the right thing. And actually we've gone full circle because here we are on the shoreline releasing a wild animal back into its natural habitat. Absolutely fantastic down there. And I like to remember all that wildlife I've seen by taking photographs. And that doesn't need to be expensive because I use one of these Kodak single-use cameras. Now, this particular one is the Kodak Fun Aquatic, and I can take photographs 8 feet below the surface. It's much better down there than up here, so I'm going to do some more.
All you have to do is click away. It's easy to use, light and tough,
Best of all, it only costs $8.99. That was brilliant. Now all I've got to do is get this developed. The next time I go diving, I just go out and buy another Kodak single-use fun aquatic camera. It's as simple as that.